Hello all of you wonderful people, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and I want to talk to you today about video game DLC. Now there are two schools of thought on this, one that our games are being cut into pieces and sold off to us in unfair and unethical practices, and the other side that sees DLC as a chance to expand on our favourite games, to continue stories with our beloved characters, or add in a bit of levity to even the most po-faced of titles. Now usually I'm of the former, seeing as I'm an old man who remembers what games used to be like before, I don't know, like the Saboteur told me that I could buy a nudity DLC, and in fact actually that's the subject of today's list. Not the tits of the Saboteur, that is, although I am voicing this so it will indeed be sensual and saucy, but no, I'm here to talk about the absolutely bizarre things that video games have tried to have the gall to charge us for, or things that were just so utterly brilliant that they could have only been ideas thought of way after the original title came out. So with this in mind, I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 times video game DLC lost its damn mind. Oh, and for the record, I'm not talking about horse armor, it won't be on here, because yes, it is insane that they tried to do that, but I've covered it quite recently, so I want some other spice for my curry, you dig? Anyway, number 10, Far Cry Primal, Legend of the Mammoth. Does anyone remember the absurdly strange game A Dog's Life? You know, that game where you just played as a canine and just sniffed up smells and scared away cats? Well, Far Cry Primal decided to use that concept, only with a woolly mammoth. Yeah. Originally a pre-order bonus, upon release you were able to buy this short and rather weird experience which saw the protagonist drink a strange concoction of shark bits, upon which you are put into the shoes, or, well actually tusks, of a mammoth, and are tasked with romping and frolicking around like you've got no cares in the world. Your objectives consist of killing rhinos, killing humans, and killing yourself as you proceed through an awful mammoth escort mission. And yet, if you take a step back from this and look at what you're actually doing, you'll utter the same thing that I'm pretty sure we all did. What the hell is this DLC? It is bizarre, ludicrous, and downright terrible in places, but at the same time it's so different that it strikes home where a lot of other games fail, in that it's utterly memorable. Number 9. Forza Horizon 4, LEGO Speed Champions. Okay, so I am a massive LEGO fan. In fact, I actually blame LEGO for my current love of Warhammer, as it's effectively the same principle of building your own toy and then accidentally stepping on it, piercing your foot. And therefore, I have a deep-seated love for LEGO games and anything LEGO related. However, I didn't expect them to show up in Forza. LEGO Speed Champions is essentially a reskin of the original experience. Yes, it's got a new island and locales to glaze over, but fundamentally the gameplay still remains, which is excellent because it's Forza Horizon, which is just a big old slurp. Smashing your way through an assortment of plastic Lego bricks with the weight of a real car is just so fun that you'll giggle like a wee babby with a set of car keys over and over. Plus the sense of catharsis that you get as you smash through the world it feels so good. It's so strange to witness, but it's actually a somewhat brilliant continuation of other Forza DLC that was utterly mad, seeing as Forza 3 had a Hot Wheels expansion. Still though, Speed Champions upped the stakes and proved that finding your car put up on bricks can actually be fun sometimes. Number 9. Sonic Lost Worlds Extra Lives. Oh me, oh my, what the hell is going on here? Now, Sonic Lost Worlds wasn't a terrible game. It wasn't the best, but, you know, being bang average in this franchise is actually not that bad, really. I mean, it didn't ruffle too many feathers. Well, that was until we all found about the Extra Lives DLC. Now, while an argument could be made for an extension of chances in games such as Dark Souls or Sekiro, Sonic Lost Worlds was never a hard adventure, and as such, it was incredibly easy to farm extra lives. And yet, there exists a piece of DLC that allows you to buy 25 extra lives. It's undoubtedly one of the worst uses of microtransactions in any video game, and when asked about it, the studio responded with, "The extra lives are a way to let you have a bit more fun and be a bit more reckless if you want to be." So basically, if you want to have fun and be silly, you've got to pay for it. If a cat has 9 lives, then it looks like a hedgehog gets 25, but at a damn price. Number 8, Rage 2, Danny Dyer. I love Danny Dyer. I do. I laugh at him and with him in equal measure, seeing as he is an absolute caricature of a human. And yet I never thought that he'd appear in my video games. So for that I have to say thank you Rage 2 for making him available as a voice for our protagonist. But also, in the same breath, I have to say, why? There's a pure, simple pleasure having the explosive action unfold in front of you, only for it to be accentuated with the voice of our Cockney hero, who shouts expletives and calls things mugs and yells at you to use your overdrive again and again and again. But you know what? It just never got old, because I always remember that he is a self-appointed hard man who also gets spooked by aliens in that show that he used to host here in the UK back in the day, and also he's on EastEnders, which is possibly the least hard man thing that you can do. Still though, seeing him off the leash and not under the script of the long-running soap opera is a true joy, and one I didn't expect to get. So again, thank you Rage 2. Number 6, Resident Evil 7 21. Okay, so this is actually part of a bigger DLC package, but it remains so unique that it demands the attention. So as you know by now, the family that persistently pester your efforts during the campaign are some truly disgusting people. But amongst them, Lucas shines out as one of the more interesting. Clearly he's watched too many Saw films, because he's constantly trying to place you into Jigsaw-esque situations, and the DLC 21 is easily one of the strangest. Strapping you into a chair and then playing against another helpless opponent, Lucas draws playing cards and forces you into a twisted game. The winner gets to go free. The loser receives unimaginable pain, followed by death. It's kind of like the same principle we have here for our writing process. Each round gets consistently more elaborate, with a plethora of torture devices at his disposal to push you both further and further towards madness. It's brutal, sickening, and worst of all, strangely addictive. I don't know who this came from or how this idea came about, and I can't believe I'm really saying this, but I'm glad they had this, because you know what? It's really fun. You just might need a long shower afterwards. Number 5, Far Cry Blood Dragon, the entire game. While Blood Dragon isn't strictly speaking downloadable content, it does retain a lot of the assets used in Far Cry 3 to create a bite-sized version of that world at a budget price. And it is bloody fantastic. While it uses a lot of the same materials from Far Cry 3, its identity is so far warped that it's created its own. The world now plays host to a retro-inspired sci-fi adventure with an 80s aesthetic to accompany it, and by God, is it good. Filled with synths, lasers, and one-liners, Blood Dragon takes the Far Cry formula and runs a marathon with it, incorporating VHS B-movie vibes with explosive action sequences around every corner. And it's here that the franchise arguably finds its stride, because it's actually leaning into the over-the-top silliness that the main game seemed to play down in favour of emotion. Plus it's got laser dinosaurs. Sign me the hell up. Number 4, various games, The Terminator. When Arnie once uttered the infamous words, "I'll be back," I don't think that anyone actually expected just how many times he'd actually be bloody coming back. From fighters to shooters, he's been in them all. In Gears 5, the Terminator could be seen on the Locust team, or you could play as Sarah Connor on the Allied side, and this was to tie into the upcoming film Terminator Dark Fate, which itself suffered a dark fate in the box office. Then we got Mortal Kombat 11, which saw the human killing machine as his own playable character, complete with brutalities and fatalities, all the while keeping that cool exterior that he's known for. He's also shown up in wrestling games in which he's moved about with the same lumbering and sluggish grace as the rest of the roster. Seriously, WWE, you need to fix your engine, mate. It can't go on like this. Then we also got to see him in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, which offered time-sensitive missions based around the upcoming film. Basically, he's travelled through so many timelines that it's almost mind-blowing how we all still lap it up. I mean, surely we should be asking for an upgrade by now, but such is the way of nostalgia, I guess. Number 3, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Banjo-Kazooie. When this was first announced, the gaming world went ballistic. Videos of people crying, screaming and cheering hit the net quicker than Banjo could say, "Huh!" It was long hoped for by fans and heavily speculated that this beloved character would indeed enter the franchise, but there was always doubt that Microsoft and Nintendo would work together, and so when it actually happened, it was met with almost disbelief. And what's even more insane is just how well the pair play, and the fact that their DLC level is Spiral Mountain, and it just looks so utterly beautiful it almost drowns out the unbridled hatred I have for nuts and bolts. Almost. This is an example of a piece of DLC causing players to lose their minds, and with good reason. And with Smash Bros being able to deliver the impossible again and again, it's a question now of what else they can even bring to the table. Number 2, Metal Gear Survive Save Slots. Oh, go and stand on a spike. This was low, my friends, real low. Now, for those of you who don't remember this pile of piss, Metal Gear Survive was dead on arrival. Fans didn't want it, people unfamiliar with the franchise didn't know about it, and the game was surrounded with negativity coming out shortly after Kojima was fired by Konami. And yet somehow the game continued to dig its own grave. The gameplay was utterly abysmal, and players felt conned by the use of the license to sell what was, at best, a poor zombie game and at worst, a slap in the face. Which stung even more when they announced that one of the DLC packages for this game was save slots. That's right, Konami in their infinite wisdom thought that charging for save slots was a good idea, especially when Konami tried to then backpedal and say that the save slots were bought with in-game money and not real currency, all the while ignoring that grinding for the in-game currency was a chore and bundles of fake cash could be bought on the online store. Boo on you, boo. And number 1, The Sims 4, a DLC within a DLC. The Sims has always been home to the weird and wonderful when it comes to DLC. Some have expanded the game beyond the reaches of the domestic space, whereas others have added in new elements for your Sims to work and play around with. It's a franchise that has used expansions to incorporate things like magic and vampires, but this next choice was mind-boggling even by the Sims standards. The developer thought that it would be a great idea to incorporate a DLC within a DLC, because the My First Pet Stuff pack had objects that were only usable for those who had the Cats and Dogs expansion. Now obviously this caused a backlash within the fan base and sparked controversy online, with some saying that this should have been an element of the Cats and Dogs expansion initially. Still though, EA sat back, pulled on its 1980s yuppie suspenders and said, well, that's true, but what the hell are you gonna do about it? Knowing that they had such a hold on its player base that they would indeed relent and buy the extra supplement. And so here, kids, we have an example of a piece of DLC that caused players to lose their minds because they had given their free will to the publisher. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 times video game DLC lost its mind. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. And if you want to chat to me further about video games, movies, TV, film, wrestling, whatever, you can do so over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. And that's, even though today we talked about things in the video game world that made us lose our minds for good and bad, I hope that you are doing well mentally, and I hope that you're allowing yourself to have a bit of a break sometimes. I know that when you look ahead at this year of all of the political, economic and social strife that's coming our way across the pond and around the world, it sometimes can be a little bit too much, but I'm just saying to you right now, it is okay to take a break and step back and look at your life objectively. You might find that your energy could be better spent doing other things that make you happier, or you might be able to make better life choices with a bit of perspective. And if you need help getting to that stage, then remember, friends, family, professionals in the sport industry, all of these people care about you and want you to do well. So go out there and smash at your big ledge, and remember to treat yourself fairly. As always, I've been Jules. You have indeed been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.